Okay, so we will be talking about El Salvador and the political party known as ARENA. Just a little brief background on El Salvador and the ARENA party. Well, in the 16th century, during the Spanish conquest, El Salvador was found. And between 1932 and 1980, there were multiple riots between the poor and the dictatorship. And then eventually, in 1980, around the time that Oscar Romero, the Archbishop, was assassinated, civil war broke out, and that lasted until 1992. And during that time, the political party known as ARENA came about, which was backed by the U.S. government, mainly the Reagan administration, and it held presidency from 1989 to 2009. And when the war ended in 1992, it was finished with a treaty that was signed in Mexico City. And ARENA is the conservative party of the El Salvador. And now, what is going on in El Salvador? Well, it currently is recovering from a civil war that finished 24 years ago, and 40% of the people are still living in poverty in El Salvador, which is much better than it was before the Civil War and after the Civil War. And though there are people who live in luxury, it's basically just the 1%, as is in the United States. And there are multiple drug gangs that are spreading violence throughout El Salvador, though the violence has gotten better throughout the years, and that's mainly thanks to ARENA during its time as presidency. And El Salvador is a democratic country, so it has elections similar to the United States. Now, how is ARENA helping the country of El Salvador? Well, under ARENA, El Salvador's poverty rate was cut in half, and this was due to ARENA allowing banks and telecommunication and electricity to become privatized, and they also allowed the U.S. dollar to become legal tender. So this really boosted their economy, especially when tourists came from the United States. They could use their money and actually buy stuff. And well, ARENA also had and this also goes with ARENA's great relationships with the United States, where export deals have been made with them, and with the United States, they have helped them get export trades with Canada, multiple countries in the European Union, and Mexico and Dominican Republic, just to name a few. And the social economic status has improved under ARENA. Many people have left poverty, and they are now in the middle class, and they have more economic choices that they can make. So, they can choose what job they get. They can, they have freedom with what they do. Though there are still many people in poverty still, and they are mainly in the rural areas, and that's mainly because of natural disasters. It's harder for them to recover, and it's harder for them to get jobs all the way in the rural areas. And Pedro Rupe's ethical analysis. So basically, how would Pedro Rupe see what ARENA is doing, and would he agree with it or would he not? And from what I read about Pedro Rupe, I would say that he would be very enthusiastic about the way ARENA is helping with El Salvador. He's a boost to their economy and given the El Salvadorians liberty to make a good living independently without being controlled by a dictatorship. And ARENA is dealing with local organizations that are helping support the people of El Salvador. So it's basically the people taking care of the people, and it can't get any more Jesuit than that. And ARENA is making peaceful deals with drug gangs to stop them from spreading the violence. So they're doing things in peace, and I think that's what Pedro Rupe and the judge would stand for. And that concludes everything.